There we go. We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to STW. It has been a hot minute since we three have been together at all whatsoever. And now you are getting to see our lovely reunion, which has already been full of the most ridiculous shenanigans possibly ever the last 30 minutes we've been talking, trying to see. Avalon can't even. Avalon can't even. And it has been the most ridiculous. Welcome and hello. Welcome and hello. If you are new, do not let this episode actually know. I'm going to take that back. Let this episode be your judgment of what we really are. Because for the next hour, we are going to be talking about what, Avalon?
We're talking about sacred sex, energy transference, and just interconnectedness between penis and vagina.
I don't like that word. That means
I don't know why I went like this though. That's more like a lesbian scissor thing.
Wait, what are you doing? Oh my god.
What is happening? I'm telling you guys, it has been shenanigans. It has been absolute shenanigans. But we are going to be talking about the act of sex and divination. That is going to be our topic today. We just decided we were going to go for it. Somebody's got to talk about it, and why not STW? So STW is going to be talking about it. So if you was shot and you was under the age of 18, maybe today ain't your day. But welcome to STW. My name is Chase 2 Owls, and I'm here with my lovely soul sisters and my cohorts, Allora, Rain, say hello.
Hello, and if you have babies, please put them to bed.
Thank you. And my other soul says Avalon, say hello.
Hello. I feel like I have to have to explain this, but we did talk about cord cutting, so I had cord cutting in my head. And there was a non-dirty reason for it. It wasn't dirty, but hello.
We are going to be such good adults, and we are going to talk about this for an hour. And then I believe at the end of it, we're going to go back to, at the end, we're going to be doing card readings, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess we always start. I guess we always. It's like
Hold on. Wait, just a second.
Yes.
So Joey, or Joe Morris and Asbjorn Torvald were supposed to appear tonight, but Joey is sick, and so she's resting up, and so we're winging it, and that's why the switch of topic. But they are going to be on, so I just wanted to let everybody know about that.
Sweetness. Do we have a day for the makeup video? Nope, not yet. Okay.
Not yet, because Joey's like, so I've been in bed throwing up for 3 days, so I wasn't going to bug her about rescheduling a day right now. So, but I'll get with her and we'll figure that out.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay, so we always start with the new section. Is the camera switching for you guys? Because it's not switching for me. It's still on Allora. Is it switching? Is it?
It's switching for me.
Okay, so it's just not going to be for me. Excuse me. So we always start with the new section. So let's each talk about there we go. Let's each talk about something that we have for news, and I guess we'll just move from left to right, and we'll start with Avalon. Take it away.
Hello. Oh, hey, there we go. For the first time ever, I'm streaming off my iPad, so I do apologize if there's any kind of a lag. I'm only just discovering where all the controls are, so just a little, public service announcement there. Okay, so this is what I'm up to. I'm discombobulated at the moment because I have just come back from 2 weeks in Brisbane. Before that, I was smashing my readings. I had like 70 odd readings to do in like a 9-day period. And they were mostly New Year readings. And I tell you what, they're an hour long each. And I'm just like, oh my God, I don't have the time. And before that, I was really pounding out my Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot guidebook, which I am almost finished with the majors. That was a big accomplishment for me because my hubby took the kids away so I could have alone time, temple space to actually build up a continuity of thought so that I could keep on the right track and, and just type everything out. And I did so good. With very minimum interruptions. So fast forward to this year, I have signed a little contract with the lovely Ethany Dawn to teach at this year's Tarot Summer School. And I'm going to be teaching witchcraft and tarot. It's so exciting. I just sent her the outline of my course, and whoa! Okay, Sorry, my daughter just did a tumble off the edge of a pillow, off the edge of another pillow, and I thought she was going to really cry. Sorry. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm witch weaving with tarot for Ethany's Tarot Summer School. Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot is coming out at some point this year. We are almost to the end of our Wands season. I'm rocking a couple of new decks at the moment. I wanted to bring this one to the attention, which I've mentioned before. It's the Restless Tarot. This is the Tarot Restless, I think it's called. And it kickstarted, and you know, they were kind enough to send me a copy, and this is like Restless Meditations, and it's just a very cool deck that I haven't unboxed yet, but I'm going to be unboxing it soon. But look out for that one, because it's the story behind this one's actually really incredible. The artist and the creator is a beautiful man named Winslow, and he created his archetypal images on women who had trauma stories, and he wanted to bring out this really unique edge and this unique sort of side to these stories and put them into the tarot. So there's some really powerful stories in his tarot deck, and I just thought, wow, I saw it on face value and thought that looks really interesting. They ended up contacting me and saying, do you want a copy of the deck? And I'm like, okay, because I'd already spotted it on my own and thought it was really interesting. So I'm looking forward to going through the book. What else do I have for you? I feel like I need to give an extra yummy shout out to Benabel Wen, who has been making demonology videos in her Pikachu onesie, and that is just like rocking my world at the moment. And lots of tarot creative people out there, lots of new decks coming to the forefront. Everybody's just rocking it really hard, and I think it's been a positive start to 2018. So that's for me.
Next.
Well, I'm asking, am I in the middle on your screen? Because you're in the middle on mine.
Oh, well, that makes it challenging, doesn't it? Yes, you are in the middle on my screen, and I'm hosting, so you're next.
Okay. Okay, so as everybody knows, I have switched continents. I've gone from America to Australia, and I am in Perth, and it is, it's been warm here, but not as hot as I was told by some people who are on the couch. But anyway. Yeah, so school doesn't start till the end of February, and so for now, I'm just getting acclimated and all of that good stuff. When I came over, so I quit smoking. Jamie, I actually cheated, and so I've had 3 cigarettes since I quit, but that's been December 28th. So I quit that, and I switched continents, and so going from nights to days, like swapping that, and then quitting smoking, and then being on a plane for umpteen hours. I got really, really sick when I first came over, but that has passed, thank God, and I'm back to my normal, lovely self. Yay! One thing that I'm in the middle of creating actually is a workshop mentorship combo thing. I haven't decided, I haven't worked out pricing or any of that yet because I'm still in the process of creating it, but it's going to come out in February. And I'm super excited about that. And that's all about working with the elements and like actually embracing the spiritual qualities of the elements and working through each one at a time. It is not a time-based course or mentorship because it depends on the individual, how long it takes them to work through each element. It's based on basically the program that I went through. Well, I say program, but it's based on what I did when I first dedicated into witchcraft. So I'm really excited about that. And I wanted to tell everybody who has been or who is on the list for the Sacred Threads Tarot, for the STW Tarot deck. So we've been getting submissions for artwork for that, but the deadline is in about 10 days. And we've only gotten about 10 pieces of art. So if you're on that list, please get your art submitted to our email, spreadtheswitches@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, you can hit us up through email or our Facebook page, or you guys all know where to find us online. And yeah, that's all I've got. All right, Chase, what's up with you?
What isn't up with me, honestly? My world right now is in a little bit of a upheaval, I think is the key word. I'm going through a lot of changes right now in 2018. Some of them will stick, some of them won't. Right now I have a job that is taking about 50, 60 hours a week away from me right now. So my shop is, it's not closed, but it's a little bit slow right now. And so I'm hoping to pick that back up soon. We'll see where I go with the shop. We'll see if it sticks or not. It's not looking too sticky right now in this moment. It is leading me in a direction of my life that I'd rather not be in, and I'm all about work-life balance. I don't have that right now. So yeah, no, we'll see. But anyway, so that's the reason, the whole point of me saying that was that's why I've been a little bit disconnected the last couple of months, is because of that job. But hopefully I will be diving back in and getting reconnected here really soon. And Red Earth Oracle is underway and looking very, very nice. I don't know if you guys have kept up with the Red Earth rallies or not, but the images that Christina has come up with, college worked for me. The images that Christina has worked up with because the pictures are phenomenal.
Just stop speaking and start over.
Right?
Stop.
Just take a pause, breathe. The images that Christina has come up with has been phenomenal. And if you have been keeping up with that, I mean, you know, just her artwork is mind-blowing, and just bringing this to life has meant so much to me. And we are 5 cards in, including the back, so I'm very excited for that. Like, we're done with like the starting phase, like we're in it now, and so we're working very hard to get that up, and we're working hard to get another Red Earth rally up and going, and a time slot for that, and working on the guidebook every chance that I get, which is not a lot right now, but I do what I can. And what else is new with me? I don't have any new decks to show off because, as you guys know, I don't really buy them. So still waiting on my copy of the Naked Heart Tarot. That will be coming to me, and I'm very excited for that deck. If you guys have not, I can do this. If you guys have not checked out that deck, please go find Jillian C. Wilde and her Naked Heart Tarot deck, and please, please, please order you a copy of that deck. It is phenomenal. She was a guest of ours a few months ago, and just her personality and her being is just super dope, and her deck is super dope. You know, I had to say the word eventually. And so please go out and check that out and buy it and show her support and show her love, because she is awesome and she is very, very deserving of that. So with that out of the way, shall we begin today's topic? Oh, can we talk about how phenomenal my jacket is?
Hold on,
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It was a Christmas gift to myself. Throwing that out there.
My water bottle was a Christmas gift to myself.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Naked Heart Tarot.
Yep.
We are gonna do an unboxing, 3 of us. That's the plan.
Yeah.
It is the plan. We so are as soon as we all get our deck, so that's very exciting.
Yeah. Okay, so now on to sex and go.
Now into sex. Now,
And
since we were
baby.
just talking about the Naked Heart Tarot, I feel, and I say this with all the love in the world, that Jillian C. Wilde and Chase are just such a match, just like a lovely match. And I would very much like for them to meet face to face. You know, when there's those people that you think, oh, wow, personality match is beautiful, and you just want them to have the opportunity to meet face to face. Sadly, you can see this thing on social media all the time. You see one person in Italy, one person in Australia. You want them to meet. Geography makes it different. So I really think that we need to get Jillian back on, just so that we can just see the magic happen. You know, a little Cupid in me wants the magic to happen.
Yeah, this is nothing that she's told me. This is all news to me. I'm just as surprised as you are. And thank you for saying that in public in front of God and everybody.
You're welcome. Well, if you hadn't have, like, we were just talking about this. I was telling Chase, of course, about my observations, and we were just having this like very casual conversation. You had exited the room, and you would have been privy to this had you have not had to leave and make a cup of tea. We talk about all the juicy things. So, but seriously, let's talk about sex.
Baby.
Let's talk about sex and tarot for starters.
All right.
Sex and tarot. Let's bring it to where it needs to be.
Right.
Honestly,
It rain. I don't know.
So let's open it. Let's open it like this. Yes, Chase is blushing. Yes, that is correct. I do. Let's put it out there. I have a little bit of a crush on Jillian C. Wilde. It's fine. Let's just throw it out there. We're all aware of it. It's fine. So, a little bit. So anyway, let's go. Moving on.
Is she married?
So, I have no
I
idea.
think I can help you out.
I don't think she's married.
I don't know.
I'm going to message her and say, Jillian.
See, now it's become a whole thing. See, this is, having sisters is rough. It's really rough. It's really rough. It happens.
I wouldn't do that to you, bro. I would.
Okay.
I would.
So let's start the topic like this, because I want to know, because where I sit with sex in general is, I have found in my life to be very different than where most other people sit with sex. So I want to open it like this. I want to ask a question, and I want you guys to answer this, like you, my sisters, and then everybody else will talk about it in the chat. But where does sex fit into your spiritual practice? Is it specifically for funsies, or does it have like an energy transference kind of feel to you?
Energy transference, absolutely. And that's, I think that's, even in my 20s, that's been a thing. Like, we were just, behind the scenes, we were talking about the phases of mentality and sex. Like, usually your 20s are the wildest, sleepy around. It's the slut phase. Let's just call it that, the slut phase. And then in your 30s, it's more about an intellectual connection. So that there's a little bit of that, but it's not as fast. It's not as aggressive. It's not as full on. There's a little bit more of a measured approach. And then, as you go up, the dynamic keeps shifting and it keeps changing. Now, I'm only in my late 30s, so I don't know how I'm going to feel and what kind of, vibe I'm going to be in my 40s. So I can't really comment there. We were just talking about this. But I think throughout all of those phases, I would think that there's an energy transference. There is an energy transference. And I would say in my 20s, when special emphasis was on, physical appearance, looking gorgeous and attracting a guy based on how gorgeous I looked and felt, that was a little bit, gratifying, you know what I mean? So the energy transference there was that of pride, of aesthetic, of validation even, and then as you go up, the energy transference becomes a little bit different, a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more nourishing. And I think the more nourishing it is, the longer it takes to actually get there. So that's my perspective.
That's really interesting. That's so interesting. So have you ever used sex in your practice? Like, has it ever been like a ritual for you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, hang on. Yeah, sex magic is a thing for me, yes. And it's something that I've just been talking about only a couple of days ago in one of my Think Witch questions on my Australian Witchcraft page. I was talking about, sex magic and things of that nature. I think that, it's an incredible way of raising energy. It's an incredible way of raising energy. That energy is then, amplified by the connection, by the pure connection that you have with the other person. If it's very meaningless, then it's going to be very one-sided. You're not going to get the full brunt of that energy raising. This is not to say that a person can't independently raise energy on their own, but it's different because you are choosing to involve another person. And so the idea there is that energy transference. You want to harness that person's energy as well to amplify the process, the practice. And so I think that the deeper the connection there, the more powerful that energy, the conjuring of that energy is. And that's something that's really important. I will say this too, though. In the concept of sex magic, the question that I posed in Australian Witchcraft was one of ethics, as in, do you involve a partner in your practice and let them know that they are being involved in a sex magic type ritual?
I was going to ask that question next. So I was very, very curious.
Yeah.
Right.
Or do you independently, you independently pursue it? Like, you go in there with a mindset, you have something very specific in mind that you're working towards. Your partner, is there simply as an aid in that process. And there's no transference of knowledge in that moment. There's no okay, so what we're going to be doing here is this, and that for this and this purpose. It's either you let them know full information or you let them know nothing. Either way, they are present in that ritual. There's an ethics question there.
Right. It seems very right. It seems very succubus-esque if you just were coming in for the purpose of energy transference, but they didn't know about it. It seems very I don't know. It's very like that.
Yeah, but I
don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, but I think I think the connection makes a difference too, because if you're talking about somebody that you've been with for, you know, years versus somebody you've been with for a week, it's a lot different. As far as ethics is concerned, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
what if you
there's
were
a little of that.
Yeah, what if you were one of those people though that, you know, just wanted like a one nightsy, but wanted to like harness that energy for spiritual work? Like, is that valid, or is that still an ethics? Is that still like a crossing over of ethics?
But I don't think that it would be that effective. Like that's the thing. Like, I mean, you would get energy; it would be one-sided. But I don't, because you just met that person, and I don't know. I don't know how effective it would be. I
think it's a matter of perspective, right? So let's look at it this way. Oh God, why do I always say the worst things on camera? I'm just building up to it, right?
Penetration.
Stop it. This is serious. I'm going to lose my train of thought. Okay, so in today's modern construct, when we've got Tinder and Plenty of Fish and all these digital apps and sexting and all of this kind of stuff, right? You know, by the time you get someone into the bedroom, there's a 50-50 chance that they are going to be full kink. And I'm talking one night stand, right? There's a 50-50 chance that they're going to be full kink. So let's take the situation of a practitioner of witchcraft or spirituality or, you know, metaphysics, going in, picking up a one night stand and doing that energy transference. That's the sole purpose of it. There's no kink. It's just the energy transference. And then you've got the other side of the coin where it's, a pickup at a bar, and the person that you pick up is doing all sorts of kinky, freaky shit to you. Like, which one would be worse? Really? Like, which one would be worse? Like, getting surprised with a dildo when you're not really ready for it, or having someone who's just working a little bit of energy magic? Like, which is the worst?
Wait, what?
I think both, but no, like, I think aggression, I'm following for some odd, strange reason. I'm a little scared about it. I think aggression, I'm a little worried. I think really, I'm not really that into super aggressive sexual energy anyway, regardless, like which direction it goes, like that's just not my bag. I don't like aggressive. I don't want to say that, because it's going to seem very oxymoronic, I guess, because I'm not super aggressive. So if I'm around somebody that is also not super aggressive, then we're not going to go anywhere anyway. But you know, there's got to be some level of aggression there, but it's got to be gradual. Laura and I, Allora, so many A's. I can't do this. I can't do this anymore.
Her name is Avalon. Her name is
the other A, the sassier A. We were talking about this earlier, that there's like this like, it has to be this, for me, a very gradual, like there's got to be trust in there if there's going to be a transference of sexual energy, we'll just call it that, you know, whichever direction it goes, whether it's purely for sex or, you know, for energy transference. It's there's got to be a level of trust for me, and I've never been into one night stands. I've never been into just going out to a bar and you know, hooking up and doing any of that. Like, it's just not, that's not what I do. And so I have never had the opportunity to use sex in a magical, for lack of a better term. We all know how I feel about that word. You know, in a magical sense. It's something that I'm very interested. Can I talk? It's something that I'm very interested in, and I'd like to try it, but it's just something that I've not ever gotten to do yet. But back to the topic, you know, anyway, you know, aggression is just not my thing. So the answer to your question would be, I don't really want either.
Interesting.
Simply said.
He said neither. Well, quite frankly, I don't know. Like, I'm a witch. I identify as a witch. I'm a practitioner of witchcraft. Have been my whole life. We know the story. I don't have to retell it. Come on. Basically, if a man hops in my bed, it's expected that something's going to happen. It's expected that, you know, whether we're having very nice Nicholas Sparks sex or not,
you and the Nicholas Sparks. You and the Nicholas Sparks.
So, man,
need to stop reading those books.
I'm such a romantic. I'm all about the grand gesture. I really am. I'm a romantic at heart, which makes me less freaky. You know, in my 20s, before Nicholas Sparks was a thing, I was super freak. But now I'm just not. You know,
So you are 50 Shades of Grey, and you've been tamed out to Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah. I'm seriously influenced by Disney. I'm seriously influenced by the Prince and the Happily Ever After. I really am. I'm influenced. I recognize that. And it creates unrealistic expectations of men, which leads to disappointment large parts of the time, right?
Yeah, but you're like,
I'm a grown woman. And I understand that that's not the case anymore. So I diversify.
I'm missing. Okay.
Yeah, he's only a small part of my story. I love my husband. I love my husband.
Ever after in the end, right?
Yeah, I did. I had my happily ever after in the end, and the happily ever after that I have it's beautiful. It's nourishing. I wouldn't really change anything about it except he could be cleaner, but that's the you know, that's the thing. But it's not the happily ever after that I remember yearning for when I was perhaps 12, when it was the height of my Disney fascination, you know, sweeping Prince Charming. So I already had a very sweet edge to my romantic approaches, sexual relationships, and visions of sex in the future. I had a very sweet edge. I was never born with that cunning edge. I was never born with that ultra carnal edge, you know. It wasn't until I hit my 20s that I started working with Aphrodite. I was working with the archetype of the love goddess. And I was modeling as a profession. I was a professional model there for quite a few years. And I developed a palette for carnal expression. I naturally developed it, you know, and it was a really different, and I felt the immediate shift in energy. It was really different. It was a very different mindset. And it's not about being a teenager or an adult. It's got nothing to do with growing up. It's a shifting of archetypes, which we see in the tarot all the time, that shift of archetype. So I feel like I went from from either let's say the Page of Cups to the Knight of Wands. Like that's that shift in archetype, you know, and water to fire in that way. And it was very interesting. And the dynamic changes and the energy changes and the transference of that energy is very different. You can see it. You're attracted to different people. You're attracted to different partners, to different sexual techniques. Can we say that? And, you know, you're just attracted to different things and you tap into different things. Now as an adult, now with a different perspective, I'm married, I can actually see that, you know, when we meet certain people in our journey, they bring out a different archetype in us. That energy transference can be mapped if you want to. Let's say, and this is going to sound manipulative, and it is because it's part of manipulation magic, but let's say I really want to engage in a more powerful, primal feminine energy. So you would choose your sexual partner in keeping with that. You would adorn yourself in a particular way. You would go out to a nightclub and you would hunt. You would be the hunter in that way. And you would hunt down that dude, that woman that is going to help to bring that out, you know. And it's all based on energy. It's all about energy. You know, you identify that person and their archetype purely energetically speaking, then you coerce them energetically speaking, and then you energy transfer with them, which is a way of saying freaky, freaky sex. Just saying. Things to think about. Poor Nicholas Sparks. He's like, no.
Yeah, but but in my experience, no, so when you're talking about switching archetypes and especially switching elemental correspondences within yourself, you can do it consciously, but it happened to me subconsciously or unconsciously. It's not something that I sought out. It's something that just shifted for me, all by itself. I don't know. And for me, I don't like to force things. I don't like to, even with the deities that I work with, I like for them to come to me or show interest in working with me. I don't particularly seek out a specific kind of energy unless it's come to me before. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just not a hunter in that way.
I totally get you. And you said like it just super sparked a pun intended, Nicholas Sparks. It totally sparked a thing when you said that you don't like to force things. That's exactly what I meant when I said I'm not aggressive. Like I like to let things just happen as they happen. I don't like to force things. And so if it's gonna happen, great. And if it's not, great. But I'm not gonna like put my will into it necessarily, if that makes sense. I just let life happen.
Do you initiate? Would you initiate though? Like, are you talking about like just letting the chips fall as they may, and then playing your hand there, or would you say like I'm just not aggressive? I'm not into initiating. I'd rather they come to me.
If it feels right, absolutely. But again, I'm not going to force it. Like like there's just that moment, like when like your first kiss, and that sounds so dumb. Because I'm not a romantic either. I'm really not. But
shut your face. You are so. Nicholas Sparks can hear you.
And it's just kind of like like the moment just feels right. Like in that moment, that's just like things playing out how it's supposed to when you're in that moment. And there's electricity from both parties. Blah blah blah. All that romantic bullshit. Blah blah blah. And so that's when shit happens.
Romantic bullshit. Blah blah blah.
Stop it. Okay, take that moment, right? Focus on that moment. What tarot card would you say symbolizes that moment, where the moment's right, the energies are right?
Lovers.
You would say the Lovers? I would totally say the Eight of Wands. Totally.
Oh yeah, no, that totally makes sense too, though. Yeah, but I would say the Lovers first.
That would be the flow. I get it.
But the Eight of Wands would be kind of like synonymistic. I just made up a word. You're welcome.
What?
College worked for me. But
he made up a stutter, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I made up a stutter. My stutter has meanings now, definitions. I'm gonna make a stutter dictionary. I did it there because I stuttered.
All right, so we have that. We have the right circumstances. That's called, that's what is there a word for that? It's like
Kismet.
It felt right. That's the it felt right moment, right?
Like
that's the it felt
the
right.
moment. The moment
where the energy completely shifts. You can go, forward, backwards, in whatever direction. Like that's the pivotal moment, right? So that's it feels right, which is beautiful. So we've got Lover's card and Eight of Wands there for that one. All
Nicholas
right.
Sparks is going to spank you. Hashtag that.
I'm still laughing about Soren's message before I'm like, surprise dildo, and he's written the dildo, of course.
We're so open here.
Like, I love the people that tune into these lives. Really, honestly,
don't you know that there's been somebody though tonight that has tuned in and been like, I'm out. Not tonight. Not tonight, STW. Not tonight.
Yeah, we're not talking about this, and this is how it's going to be. So, well, no, that's fair. All right, so let's talk about we've just discussed the topic of ethics, especially within sex magic, right? Which is a very elaborate topic, and it's one that you do have to think about personally, because it's about your personal practice. So people don't get an opportunity to weigh in on what you do. Like you take on board what resonates in that particular perspective, and you leave what doesn't. Right? I'm not telling you how to behave, think, act, feel in any regard. It's just a matter of thinking about it. Right. So the ethics of that. What about the ethics of energy transference? When two parties are very willing, when you've built up that connection, when you've had that it feels right moment, and you go beyond that, like what kind of ethics are there in that, in that very new arena, in that new you're acclimated to the relationship, let's call it that. Well, it can be called a relationship, I suppose. But what is the ethics in that?
Like we could put in a lot of different words, relationship, a bonding experience, friendship, right?
Yeah. So what's the ethical responsibilities there? Like, does it change? Does it change? Is it then okay to engage in sex magic without that person's consent, just knowing that person knows you well enough to understand that maybe you are going to be doing that kind of thing? Maybe you've had the conversation well and truly ahead of the game, and it's there. It's this commonly known thing that could happen, it couldn't happen, or it's never it's known but never discussed? Like, what are the ethics then? How would you proceed in that regard?
Absolutely. And you have to think about on the other hand of that too, you know, I think we who sort of we live ourselves out loud and we're not ashamed, and you know, but when you have somebody, you know, there's so many of us that can't live out loud and have to kind of keep this a secret and those kind of things. Maybe that's their only opportunity. So then are they kind of not above ethics, but can they do they have a different navigation around ethics? Because if that's their only opportunity to, and that's the only chance that they can take, then is ethics different for them, or is it just set in stone? Is it either is or it isn't for anybody?
That's it. It's definitely something to think about. I think Allura's probably the best one to answer that question, quite frankly.
Probably, and she's not here.
Where is she gone?
I don't know, but I see an elephant.
I see an elephant. Allura Rain. See, she's like, why doesn't anyone tell me about these things that you're talking about? And that's because she's not here. It's because she's not here. My goodness. Right. Well, I don't know. Hey, I think that the longer you know someone.
There we go.
Huh? Oh, yeah. She's there. She's there.
Wow. Oh, hey. Hey there. What you doing?
Friend.
She doesn't know what we're talking about because she's never there. Blah, blah, blah. I got you.
So I want you to answer my question, though.
Okay. So we were talking about friends, yes? And consent?
Yeah.
We're talking about it all.
I asked the question about, is ethics really set in stone for everybody? Because, you know, like I was saying before, we live out loud and we're not ashamed of who we are, and we can talk about it with anybody. But we have so many of us in this community that have to live kind of, you know, in the shadows, you know, and they have to keep everything very private. So if they're wanting to find out if sex energy is something that's going to work for them, and this is their only opportunity, they can't really tell their partner because their partner is going to judge them. Can they slither around the side of ethics a little bit, or is it just set in stone? Is it still bad if that's the only way you're going to get to do it?
See, and here's the other. Okay, so I have never personally done sex magic, and it's because of my own self. Because when we're talking about ethics and when ethics applies to a partner, there's also the ethics that apply to yourself, and I have a harder time with that versus ethics when it comes to a partner. So my hang up with sex magic is I have never trusted anybody's energy that much to want to use their energy in my work. Does that make sense? And as far as
that makes sense.
Yeah, and as far as what you're asking is concerned, yeah, I mean, I still think the ethics are there, and I think that, I mean, yeah, I live out loud, but at the same time, back in Tennessee, where I live and reside most of the time, I don't hide who I am, but I also don't walk down the street and, you know, shout it out and pronounce it and all that, because it's still the American South and it's still looked at as evil, bad, and wrong and going to hell and all those things. So I would say that if you're thinking about doing sex magic and you are thinking about doing it with a friend or a partner who you want to do that with, I think absolutely they should be in the know about what you're doing. And if you don't feel like you can tell them, can you really trust their energy to use it in your working? That's the whole thing. You should be able to, I mean, not saying that you have to tell them what you're specifically working towards or for or whatever, but they should at least know that you're, you know, a practicing witch and this is what you believe or do and so forth and so on. And I think that if they're completely in the dark, I think that's, why would you want to use their energy anyway? I don't know, maybe that's just me.
It's a thing. It's a thing. I will tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about me in my 20s where I was practicing sex magic without the knowledge of my partners at the time. And not all of those partners were one-night stands. I had long-term relationships. I was even married, you know, during this time. This very wildly experimental time where, you know, sex magic was a very new thing to a 19-year-old girl. You know, that's when I actually met my husband when I was 18. My first husband when I was 18. So we were, no, 17. Anyways, long story short, I was I'm very sure about my practice, but I was never very sure on how to communicate my practice, certain facets of my practice, my desires, my ambitions for my craft, you know, to others, full stop. Not just to my partner, but to others, not to my friends. I just didn't want to talk about that. That was very private. I grew up in an, you know, in an environment, in a culture where you don't talk about magic outside of your bloodline, right? So I didn't talk about magic outside of my bloodline, which meant if I wanted to practice sex magic, that would be something that is solely in me. Like there was the person that I'm practicing my sex magic with need not know anything and shouldn't know anything. In fact, there was an opinion of mine at that time, and that's I'm not gonna lie, that's still something that I hold true. The moment that somebody knows about my craft, knows about an element of my witchcraft, say a spell that I might be doing, that it takes some of the magic away. Like it robs it of its power. The more insular it is, the more secret it is, the more I can control it on my own without necessarily the conscious influence of another, then, you know, my magic is intact then. The moment that I tell another person I'm doing sex magic, or I'm doing sex magic for this reason, there is that chance, that opportunity for there to be influence from that person. And if I don't want that person's influence, which oftentimes I don't want other people to influence my magic. I'm very hell-bent in the direction that I want to go in, you know, it's a thing. So that's what I did. So it was very one-sided. I would engage in sex magic with my partners, my trusted partners, etc., and they wouldn't know any different. You know, I think maybe my ex-husband actually knew that, you know, I was interested in sex magic and then I was going to try it out because I was quite young when I met him. You know, that was all very talky, experimental, you know, young mind kind of business. Anyways, I will say this. Here's a byproduct. I am prone to stalkers. I'm not joking. It's not a thing that's like, oh yeah, I'm being stalked by such and such. I'm talking police, restraining orders, warrants for arrest. I am prone to stalkers. I have had more stalkers in my life than I know anybody else has had. And I'm not a celebrity. I can tell you that. There was something about me. Yes. Okay. But when I look back at the pattern of these stalkers and the pattern of my practice and the pattern of my life, age, etc., the majority of my stalkers came from people that I actually practice sex magic with, and the women that have stalked me were later on lovers, girlfriends, wives of men that I had actually had, you know, engaged in sex magic with. So is that a ramification? Is that a ramification? Like something definitely to consider. And this is something that's only really come to the light in probably the last, I want to say, months. This is not something I've known for all of time. Like I've been scratching the surface of ethics and sex magic, and it's something that came, you know, to the forefront. And so, you know, there is a ramification of that energy exchange. When you engage in sex magic with another individual, you're opening up a facet of yourself, a very, very deep, very profound facet of yourself, and there can be consequences. Now, if you're going to be together forever, if that's the end of it, then, you know, you're not going to really suffer any negative byproducts. But if you are going to open yourself up there to, you know, to the odd random for this particular practice, then there could be quite a heavy energetic fallout. And I can't really quite put my finger on it. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm saying that it's my hypothesis. And now I must cut cheese.
All right. When you did that, when you said you were, you know, doing, you know, with, as you said, randoms, was that fulfilling you, like energy-wise? I'm talking about the sex. I don't need to know all of that. But like energy-wise, was like energy-wise, did you end with feeling fulfilled energy-wise, or was there still something lacking because there wasn't that bond, that mutual energy transference?
The energy is always lacking. Yeah, if there's no connection, the energy lacks. It's really, I only want that, you know, when I was doing, you know, sex magic with a random, for instance, it was basically to help me raise my energy in a very different way, in a very dynamic way. And we can do this. Like, you can masturbate and raise your energy and empower your sigils and, you know, do all that kind of thing. But the moment you begin to introduce a partner, you're introducing a different flavor, let's call it that, a different flavor to your magic. And so it was a little bit about playing around with the different flavors, different archetypes, different energies. And it's not satisfying. I can honestly say, you know, there might be some that get a little drunk off that diversity. But it's not something that I ever found very satisfying. I found it very different and much more rewarding when I was engaged in sex magic with my long-term partners. And here's a fun fact. I have been with my husband for 10 years and we have never practiced sex magic together. Basically, I got it all out of my system before, before I met him. There you go, Bubba.
So hubby has not produced any creepy stalkers. Got it.
No. I'm very mellow. But the creepy stalk is actually a thing, though. Like that, it was something that only really came to the forefront, you know, very recently. And I thought to myself, well, there is repercussions. Every magic, there is repercussions. There's repercussions. In the arena of sex magic, you are energetically tying yourself. If you don't go through the trouble of cord cutting, there we are. See, I told you we'd be talking about it. If you don't go through the trouble of cutting cords, then you're fucked. You're literally fucked in more ways than one. So you have sex with a person, whether it ended bad or it ended nicely, you cut that fucking cord. You cut it because you don't want that influence in your life. If you go into the arena of sex magic with a random person or a trusted person. Hi, Jason. Then, you know, you have an extra responsibility to be consciously aware of that. It's about neutralizing the connection and then about cutting it. Well, that's called cutting. You neutralize your connection and then you cut it, right? But there's extra steps that you take when there has been magic involved, because when there has been magic involved, whatever cord cutting you do will then affect that magic. Like if you sever that connection, it will affect that magic. So you need to be prepared to go, okay, am I going to, do I not want to really see that spell through to completion, or has that spell been completed? These are questions that you would ask yourself, and then you neutralize and cut that cord. So there's just an extra little step there of recognition and, you know, sussing it out. And then you go beyond that. But there definitely needs to be that cord cutting, because you are energetically transferring. And so that you assume some of the energy into your physical body, that automatically links you. And let me tell you, some of my exes from 15 to 20 years ago love to creep up in cycles of 6 and tell me that I'm still beautiful. Like they love to. They love to do it. Cycles of 6. 6 is a number that is associated with what card, and 6 is the number that is associated with what goddess. The goddess that I was working with, Aphrodite. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know, when you're talking about tying yourself through sex magic and energy transference, I don't think that you necessarily need sex magic for that to happen. I think when you lay down with somebody, you are you have a cord to them. I mean, Jesus, we don't even have to have sex with people to have cords with people. So.
No, you don't. There has to be an emotional connection there. Either an emotional connection or a physical connection, I would say. You don't just build up a cord because you brushed against somebody while you're walking to the ATM to get money to buy milk, right? You brush against their energetics. But you have to be consciously exchanging something, whether it's a feeling, a sentiment, a friendship, a love, sexting. I want to get to sexting. Sexting, because it's explicit and it triggers. Sexting is explicit and it triggers your physicality. It does. So it's an energetic digital thing that ends up having like a solid repercussion. So when you think about it, in the day of Tinder, and I was talking about, the digital age of like sex and relationship, how much energy is actually being crossed over there? Like how much do you think is actually?
So much less.
You did not do that. Oh
I think, truly, honestly, because sex has changed so much in the 31 years that I've been alive. you know, we don't even have to. Used to, you at least had to like go out into public in order to find somebody attractive to fuck. And now, like, all you have to do is pick up your phone, and then you go to wherever you go to bump uglies, and then you're done, and you get to leave. So, like, I think sex has become what's the word? I guess super convenient. And I guess the less that you make something, or the more, excuse me, I'm going to say that backwards. The more you make something convenient, the less energy you have to put into it in the first place. And so I think there's a lot.
That's a
valid there's
statement.
a lot less energy going into it than I think was even 5 years ago, or however long Tinder has been around, you know? So now it's just
it's one of those things that I've never experienced it, because I've been with my partner for 10 years, like Tinder, Plenty of Fish, all of these relationship apps. I only hear about them because I have single friends. If I didn't have single friends, I probably wouldn't even know about half of this shit that goes on. But I will say this. Have you seen that Broadly show of I think it's the Brooklyn Witch, or the Witch in Brooklyn, or something like that. And basically she talks about witchcraft. She talks about spirit contact. And she actually mentions in this, it's available on YouTube. She actually talks about anointing her finger and swiping to find her partner. So you can actually weave a little bit of magic into the swipe, which actually means that people can put some extra effort and some mojo into their little swipey swipes. How's about that?
That crosses my borders of technology and energy work. Crosses that border. One of my very first videos I ever made. That's a no-no for me. Can't do it. Can't do it.
It's a thing though. People do it.
And I still, like, I need that person. Oh yeah, wow. I still person to person. Oh my goodness. But I still need that person to person interaction. I could not, and I'm not putting down anybody for it whatsoever, because I understand that I think that dating apps and all those things are there for that certain person who absolutely needs it. But for me, I need more than that. Like, this is not ever a resource that I could ever turn to. Like, I just am super set on having to, again, letting things happen how they happen. I feel like for me, using the app is like me, again, forcing something that should just happen naturally for me. So there could never be, there should never be, for me, that's not how I'm going to transfer energy. That was the whole point of me saying all that. There would be no energy transference in that for me whatsoever.
So other forms of social media in which you don't go looking for it.
Right.
Yes. So that's okay.
No, I'm not. No. I'm not. I think, no, I know what you're alluding to. Like, again, that's just like it happening. It just, like, things flow and things are just happening. And, you know, if you end up sexting somebody over Instagram, then it just happens.
Can I just say that in the last 2 weeks, I posted about this on my private Facebook page, I started to get pictures of random guys sending me suggestive photos on Instagram, and I'm just like,
yeah, put on there how come I'm getting dicks in my inbox.
Like, that's just.
Why are you sending me this picture of yourself? Like, why? Like, I don't even know you. And why? Like, just why? I don't understand it. And I actually think that is incredibly disrespectful. Incredible.
Oh, extremely. Yeah. That's what I was going to say, too. That's like forcing your penis onto a woman via a cell phone, which is just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's technological rape. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. It's just wrong. It's wrong, you know? Whether it's a shirtless photo and a suggestive little smile or something a little bit more obtuse than that, there is a level of wrong. There's a level of hard pass, just hard pass. There will be no result from that.
And you want to know how many of my bros I've had to be like literally out of their mouth are like, I'm gonna send a picture of my dick. She'll love that. And I'm like, no, she actually won't. Really? No, she won't. And it's like the look on their face is like I've just said something that they can't compute. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, please don't do that.
It's not right. Hey. Oh my gosh.
Please don't do that.
Sorry, I've got folks, I've got an injury and it keeps me shifting in my seat every 5 seconds. I've torn a ligament in my right ankle. That's the story.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so we're moving on from that. It happened during a sex magic.
Right. Right. So if you guys see me like violently jerking throughout well, that's not appropriate in this. Violently moving around.
Oh, okay. That's just
violently moving around. It's because my hamstrings keep cramping like a mother. That's why earlier I was like down on the floor for a second because my hamstring was like, "You're done." So.
Oh, that sucks.
Okay. Real quick. Somebody asked how to cut cords.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
I thought that I mentioned it. You neutralize the connection and you snip.
Yeah, but
like how though? Like specifically.
Like how? Yeah.
Well, if you have some scissors made of tourmaline, then then go at it that way. But honestly, it's about being aware of the energetic connections. And then it's about literally, you can physically unplug them from you. If you feel one in your heart, if you feel one in your throat, you unplug it. You do so in a metaphysical state of mind. Yeah. You do so with the aid of crystals or specific herbs. You start to understand exactly, what kind of ingredients or tools your energetic system responds to. Like I love to use clear quartz and I love to use tourmaline. I love, love, love these things. Hematite, jasper, obsidian, like these are my aids when I'm cutting cords. And, really strong visualization or actually preparing myself by swimming in salt water or going for a swim in a natural body of water, completely naked, being very aware and literally throwing salt all over myself, scrubbing, and then going through and energetically unplugging myself and cutting those cords. If it helps, you can actually do this. You can actually go.
Yeah. But I think the thing that I wanted to get to is that it's a large part of it is visualization, meditation, cleansing bath beforehand if you want to, and that all cords don't look the same. So a lot of times, like for me, when I visualize, some people will have real thin,
tendons.
Yeah, and then some people will have fucking chains, man. Like just they're chained to me, and that takes a whole lot more work to get rid of.
And some you can't do on your own, and it's one of those things. Like you do good cord cutting as part of metaphysical maintenance, but not every cord can be cut because there's more. There's emotional baggage still there, and the moment you start to sort of like poke and prod this one particular cord, it brings up all this old shadow, all this old stuff, stuff to be relived, and so it's better to go and seek someone's help in that regard. Whether you have a friend who's an energetic healer, you can access a shaman. I love to go to shamans. Shamans are my go-to healers. Honestly, I don't go to crystal healers. I go to shamans. I don't go to Reiki practitioners. I go to shamans. I don't do like chakra alignment in that way. I go do soul retrieval and cord cutting and canceling out contracts and journeying and, recalibrating and rebalancing. So that's just my way of doing it. And I would say that if you come up against one of those, really hard to handle types of old energy attachments, could be from even a previous life, you could be going ancestral here. It could be something that's still lingering, from various incarnations. If you want to take it back that far, if you're open-minded enough to, that it could be there from that. And then you have more to deal with. You have way more to deal with. And it's worth going to see someone who can handle that. And if you can't, then if you can, then go for it. If you can't, then seek help.
We had a question. Rosemary said, would it be best to do some cord cutting work during the waning moon phase? Yeah, that's usually when I do all of mine. When I'm getting rid of things. That's just like general getting rid of things energy anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like to start any of my like waning magic stuff, ritual, 3 days at least after the full moon and then 3 days before the new moon. So I like to keep those, there's a buffer of 3 days at either side there to make sure that I'm not stuffing around with any of that new moon energy or that full moon energy, because I use the full moon for specific things, first quarter rising, waxing for the specific things, new moon specific things.
I knew if I started shuffling, Chase wouldn't be able to resist.
I've been shuffling for a minute, honey.
Honey?
Funny.
Now I want to get in on it. Feeling left out.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Because I'm on my iPad, guys. I can't actually see the chat, and it's moving so effing fast here.
You've missed some good quality chatter.
Oh, I know. I will say this though. You know, we were talking about cord cutting, and I was saying if you can get your hands on a good pair of tourmaline scissors, you can actually soak tourmaline in water. Put like a coconut oil or a type of oil on your finger. Dip your hands into that water, and you've essentially got an energetic tourmaline aid. Just something to think about. The reason you put the oil is honestly to give your finger a different weight. Like you can feel it, so you're more conscious of the action and the tool that you're doing. The coconut's actually not doing that much. Well, no, it's moisturizing your fingers, so it has that particular property. But it's really about the tourmaline, the water in the tourmaline. You want to crush up some tourmaline?
My mix of everything. Coconut oil is such a huge part of my life. Such a huge part of my life.
I know, it's so good to cook with. It's so good to cook with. And then when the oil ends up on your hands, you just rub it all over your arms because it's so moisturizing. Yeah. It's like we're family.
We are family. What are you talking about?
I know. I just like to emphasize it from time to time. It's like we're family.
Right. We are.
Yes, us girls are going to meet and do live chats. We have plans.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be over here in the States by my damn self.
Twice. Uh-oh. Hold on a second.
What's up? What's up? She says. Look at her, all loved up. You can actually tell she's all loved up too, can't you?
I know.
Look at her. She's like, oh my God. She's wearing the Nicholas Sparks glow.
You guys are assholes, man.
But is she wearing the Nicholas Sparks undergarments to go with it, though?
Get the girls out.
Talking about my knickers.
The Nicholas Sparks push-up bra.
Oh, it's beautiful. Your hair's beautiful, darling.
Do you want some
No, thanks, darling.
from the hat?
Yeah.
From the hat.
That's cool.
So should we go ahead and open the floor up for some questions?
Yes. Did we cover everything that we were meant to be covering?
I think we did.
I think we touched on a lot. We touched on ethics and responsibility. Nothing conclusive. Just, you know, go at your own pace.
I sense some jealousy in there.
No.
What do you mean no?
Hashtag single and never ready to mingle.
I'm actually living in Nicholas Sparks' book right now.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it in you.
That's gross.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Real gross.
Oh, Anna. So in March, we're going to be together, and then we're going to be together again. July.
Together.
Together. I can't wait.
So fun. You're actually going to be here in Cairns at a really good time.
Did you?
Hey?
You didn't make it down to Ithaca, did you?
No, I didn't go to half the places that I wanted to.
Well, you can order from them online. Oh,
so good.
So good. So, Chase, when I was in Brisbane, we went to this place called Ithaca Crystal Warehouse. And it's just this huge garage of just nothing but stones. And $30 for a kilogram of black tourmaline.
Hi.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I'm going to order all my shit from you people.
okay. Hell yeah. That's freaking dope.
Okay, questions for the cause. Who
got a question?
It can be sex related. It can be cord cutting related. It can be whatever.
It could be life related.
It really is. And can I just say that this is the first time I'll be pulling cards since December. No, since I left. So I actually haven't pulled cards for about nearly 3 weeks.
Yeah, I would say no. I did one reading last week, and that was it. And it might have been the same December.
I needed a bit of a break, and people are like, "What? What do you mean you need a break?" And I'm like, "I needed a break.
Nice.
I just needed a break, man."
It's healthy. It's healthy to do that.
I went traveling
guys too.
without my tarot decks. I didn't take a single tarot deck.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could do that. I think I always have to have them close, but I didn't really use it. I kind of did, I guess. I did pulls for my metaphysical journal, but small cards in a very long time.
Well, I think that that's great. But I've never really traveled without any tarot. But to be fair, I was going to my sister's place and I've gifted her 2 decks in her lifetime. So if I really, really wanted to, I had the Deviant Moon there, which is one of my favorites. I mean, it's the Deviant Moon, guys. It's broken. Can't use it.
I really... Oh, we did it at the same time.
Okay, you know
I really feel like...
Tarot, you're going to just... You do the questions because... Okay, so let me try to explain this internet situation because fucking Australian internet. You guys do a lot of things.
Wash your mouth out.
So currently, like, okay, so it's weird here, Chase. So their mobile or their like cell phone providers are the ones that provide the internet unless you get NBN. But where we are, I don't even think we can get NBN yet. Like, I don't think it's wired for it or something. So we had Optus, and now we're switching to Telstra. We're actually going today to switch, but it's a long story. But anyways, so I am hot spotting off of a tab that's over there. So me copying and pasting questions is going to be a lot slower than you doing it.
All right. Well, then I will be the question.
And I don't even know how this broadcast is turning out because...
Well, the quality is good. I can see you beautifully. I can see you crisp and clear and gorgeously. So full definition color. Nice detail. Chase, you too. You're very clear.
In my very gloomy corner of my office.
All right.
The lights are out, and I don't have any light bulbs, so...
I'm purposefully in the dark. It's very bright outside.
Okay. I just have to quickly tell you about my dreams lately because so really weird. So when I was a kid, like I used to dream in black and white, and there used to be subtitles to my dreams, and there used to be credits to my dreams. Like I would have all these weird things going on. Have you ever seen the commercials for like third world countries with the old guy, and he's like, "This is so and so. Give 10 cents a day." That was my freaking dream. The other night, I'm like, what am I doing here? And like the whole dream was an infomercial, like infomercial style. Wow. And I woke up and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, what is happening?
I mean,
that's weird. That's real weird.
And I would tell my parents, like, do you dream in subtitles? And my parents would look at me and go, no.
No? You're like, we all look at you and be like,
yeah.
Not a thing. Not a thing. Just for you. All right, so we get to this first question because it's a good one.
Yeah, let's do it.
What can I do to recharge the sexual spark between my husband and I? This is from Valeria Willow.
What was the name?
Interesting.
Solaria
Willow?
Solaria Willow.
Solarium. Okay.
And then you've got, hold on, catching up on questions. Hold that thought. All right. Oh, whoop. All right.
Oh my God, I got a good one. Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, I got the Emperor. I'm using the Ostara Tarot, by the way, if anyone wanted to know. Look at the backing of it. It's absolutely beautiful. But the Emperor, for me, is all about structure. It's all about order. And so this says to me that perhaps you need to create time and space for this to happen. You need to, I mean, it doesn't sound very romantic, but sometimes when you inadvertently make space for something, it has a tendency then to pick up the pace and to move a lot quicker. I think it's about falling back into a rhythm, and in order for you to fall back into a rhythm, you need to create the space in order for that to happen. So, you know, I'm not talking about scheduled time for sex. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, but scheduled time for intimacy. Scheduled time for intimacy so that you can connect. Also, the Emperor is about the leader. It's sometimes you need to instigate and take charge. So, you know, be the person that, you know, that gets in there and says, this is the parameter. We're going to do this. We're going to make time for this. You create a structure for it, and then you lead. So, you know, for many people that can be difficult if you're the type of person that lingers in the back and waits for the advance. You're going to have to really switch your archetypal energy around and be more go for it. So that's my Emperor.
I have to go next. I'm sorry. I have to. So I have to. So I have pulled the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is the go-getter. This is the take charge. You have to, you know, I think in what's really coming through to me right now is that I think it is a time in your relationship with your husband where things are shifting. And Avalon sort of said it there when she said it's a shift of archetypal energy. I feel like there is a moment for you right now that, you know, in every step of a relationship, things shift. You have like the beginning phase where everything's new and sex comes easy because you're just now in love and everything's pretty and fun. And then like the real world hits at some point, and then you have to figure out how to balance this love with work and money. And then you finally get through that, and then you have your next roadblock. And then the type of love that you guys have shifts and it becomes a little bit deeper and a little bit different. And I feel like right now there's a stage where you've been together long enough that things are starting to shift. And, you know, in order to it's not a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. You know, I see so many relationships end because the energy shifts and people don't know how to handle it or manage it, or they don't want to. That's just the point where a relationship can take a turn for the better, or, you know, become deeper emotionally or physically or something like that. And I do feel that there's a shift, and I feel like this is very dependent on you going and getting it and grabbing it and like Avalon was saying too, I really feel like maybe this is an area of your relationship where you kind of sit back and you let your husband kind of determine when, where, and why. And now it's time for you to go up to your husband and say, we're doing this, and I want to do it this way. And, you know, I want this part of my life back. Maybe that's where your energy shift lies. So be aggressive. Don't be overly aggressive, because the Knight of Swords too, the part of the Knight of Swords, sort of the shadow side of the Knight of Swords, because he is a go-getter. He tends to go get so hard that he messes up sometimes. So don't go so hard that you fall out of line or you fall out of purpose. Stay in line and don't get too aggressive. Don't fall onto the shadow side of the Knight of Swords. You know, stay persistent, but not, I would say persistent, but not aggressive. Yeah. And that's me.
My turn. Now you know. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
So I had 2 cards fall out. And this was first one. So this is traditional deck. This would be the King of Swords, Father of Air. This goes along with what Chase and Avalon have been saying, but interestingly enough, I think that this is more talking about how to accomplish the persistence and the structure, you know, providing the structure, allowing the space, so forth and so on. And I think this is more so about meet your husband on an intellectual level. Don't just try to seduce the body, seduce the mind. And, you know, this is so funny too, because typically men are very visual and carnal creatures. But in this instance, the cards are telling you, like, pay attention to his intellect and his mind and get in there and just captivate him mentally. And that will help as well. And also, this one fell out, which this is the Ace of Air, Ace of Swords. So bring some new ideas to the bedroom. Try something that you haven't tried before. You may be surprised at your husband's reaction. He may be open to new and different things. This doesn't mean that you have to, you know, install a dungeon or a playroom in your house. It's just maybe something simple and different, whether it's I don't know, pair of handcuffs or whatever. But yeah, try something that you haven't tried before.
A breath of fresh air.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, a breath of fresh air.
It can even be as easy as, like, maybe if you always getting too personal maybe, but if you always have sex in the bed, Have sex on the couch. Couch sex is fun.
Yeah. And if you're always like missionary, then change that shit up.
Yeah.
Or in the middle of the night. That's hard.
Early in the morning, change the times, the days, you know, just change the pace of it, change it all around. That's really good advice for everybody.
Arrow. That's what I'm calling this episode when we're done. Lauren, you're brilliant.
Oh my gosh. All right. What's our next question? Do we have another one? Because I don't have
We
access.
do. We've got a few. Our next question comes from Rosemarie, and she asks, what steps do I need to take to get past the recent life losses I have experienced?
Recent life losses. Interesting. Okay.
You know what? I'm sorry.
I've got one.
Get it.
Does anyone else feel that like they want to go first? Because I can. This can be a first card or it can be a last card. Doesn't really matter.
I'm switching back, so I'm like starting over.
Okay, cool. All right, well then I'll start. So I got the 2 of Cups here. Okay, so this is about, you know, it feels like one of those cards of intimacy, one of those cards of deep connection and of intimacy. And so in order to, what was the question again? It was steps to do to take to get past the recent life losses you've experienced. I think, you know, definitely something that recalibrates you and that allows you to get into that mind space of, you know, creating meaningful connections. Again, water for me, Cups, obviously water, it's very cleansing. And because this is about interconnectedness, it can be also about leaning on another person to assist in supporting you while you are recalibrating and, you know, and really utilizing your resources in a manner that is both gentle on yourself and gentle on others. Obviously, this is a very soft card. It has a very soft energy, but it's also got a very healing energy as well. This can sometimes indicate romantic connection, but on a very light scale. Like it's the time is right. It feels right time, but there's no action yet. And so, you know, it's about deepening your connections and deepening your pool of, you know, of kindred spirits to assist you to navigate troubled waters as opposed to like forcing it. I would definitely recommend soul retrieval. Definitely recommend soul retrieval as a, you know, as a go-to skill or healing or modality to assist you. Cord cutting is probably something that will be there as well, but I think soul retrieval, because when we've had losses of any kind, it can have a shattering effect on the soul depending on how deep the connection is. And so it's something that you need to be very much aware of, and to do so gently. You might need to find another person in that sense of like shared interconnectedness. You may need to find a trustworthy person that can assist you with this. And that's another aspect. You know, Cups can be very healing. So it could be talking about finding the right teacher, the right healer, the right practitioner to assist you to traverse that trouble. So that's what I'm feeling here.
My turn. You're going left. Okay, sorry. So I got the 2 of Swords. And this one is actually the thing that I keep hearing in my head is stop trying to control and dominate the healing process or the trying to get over these life losses. You need to let go a little bit, and you need to allow yourself to feel the emotions of those losses and work through them, instead of just trying to control when and how and all of those things in which your healing occurs, because you're having an inner struggle within yourself. And I think that's why you're having a hard time, because you want so badly to be past these things, to be okay with these things, to move forward, but you can't do that if you just skip all of the emotions of those losses. And with what Avalon was saying, yeah, with soul retrieval, with cord cutting, with those kind of things, those are the things that I'm talking about. You have to kind of sit in your emotions, and you have to allow yourself to feel them. You have to, and then facilitate the healing. So I think you're just trying to skip a big step, and that's what's happening. Stace, what do you have?
So it's funny that I just got I was in the middle of shuffling my tradition right away deck, and I just felt this really strong pull to switch to a softer deck, and I'm literally going to read this card to you, and it's going to be exactly the words that Avalon said. And so the card that I drew from the Earth Power Oracle was Fairy Circles, and it says, I look deeper for a solution, and I am open to transforming myself, which is exactly what Avalon said. You know, people go to fairy circles in order to deepen their call to Mother Nature, or to empower themselves, or to really dig deep within themselves and find a power that they didn't know that they had. But in all of, you know, in doing all of that, that involves, in order to get deeper with yourself, you have to learn how to let go. You have to learn that we are not in control as human beings. We have a divine presence and a divine purpose that is bigger than we are, something that, you know, we will not fully ever comprehend in this life, and that is okay. And things happen that, you know, it's the old adage of good things or bad things happen to good people. You know, when you mix Christianity with that, you know, a lot of hardcore Christians will talk about, and this all has a purpose, I promise, hang on with me. And, you know, they talk about bad things happen to people because they deserve it. And so we kind of, and the point of that, even if we're not hardcore Christians and we don't necessarily believe in that, that's still an adage that sticks with all of us, because we feel like we're being punished for something, and we have to let go of that feeling of being punished. You know, that's because we're having a bad day doesn't mean that we did something the day before to make it happen, unless we did. But, you know, I'm talking in general. We have bad days. We have good things. It's just this ebb and flow of this divine energy that it's okay to just let go of, and to just understand that it happens. And you know, when there is something catastrophic that happens to us, like when somebody close to us dies, a family member or a best friend, that's not ever anything that you recover from. And I don't mean that to sound negative. I mean that it's going to have to be something that you're going to have to figure out how to live with and sort of navigate around, because it's always going to be with you, and it will get easier. It will get easier, but it does change you, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. You know, I keep saying that it's not a bad thing. You're just going to have to figure out how to be able to navigate through that. And I think that's where this card comes in with the looking deeper for a solution. It's going to have to be, you know, a little bit deeper. And again, full circle moment, I come back to saying, in order to do deeper, you're going to have to learn to just let go.
That's true. I also wanted to add one thing, and this was a word that came to my mind when Allora showed her Two of Swords, and that is Vipassana. So that Indian technique of allowing things to be, to accept and to be, and to find that stillness in that moment, and to understand exactly what you were just saying then, Chase, that, you know, you're not being punished. It is the circumstance of the situation, and not reacting to it, but allowing it to be, to pass, to feel the experience, and then to release it without it actually manipulating you in a way. So look into it. Just wanted to mention that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, you know, we say all this like it's so easy to do, but we all know how not easy it is to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not easy. It never is, and that's why, you know, I was bringing up the point that it's not ever going to it's not ever going to go away. You just have to figure out how to navigate through it and learn how to live with it. So
yeah,
and that is always a problem.
There's recovering and there's recalibrating, but there's never forgetting, severing, and
Right.
just it's not ever all over. It's just a different version of reality. And so every time we go to sleep, we wake up, we're experiencing a different version of reality. What we did yesterday will affect, you know, who we are today, so on and so forth. If you want to go deep, energetic about it, you know, what we did in our past life will affect what we're, you know, facing now. And you've got to find the tools, the ones that resonate with you, to assist you to navigate those waters. When those waters get a bit rough and they're a bit troubled, then lean on your tools, lean on your skills, lean on what you know. And if you don't feel like you know enough, then you find someone who does know, someone who can show you how, or someone who you can trust enough to take you on that journey when you need it. So,
man, that is so key. That is learning to be humble enough to ask somebody else for help. And there's a phrase, and I'll end on this, and then we'll move on to our next question. But in the fitness business, there is a man by the name of Lou Schuler who is just like a genius mind, not only the fit biz, but in general. And he said, in order to better yourself, you have to surround yourself with people that are better than you. It's important to find people in the situations that have navigated this before, because that will make it easier for you too.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What's the next question?
The next question is from Dulcie Moonchild, and she asks, any advice for sparking my sexual life?
For what?
Sparking her sexual life.
Oh, this is so exciting.
I knew she was going to get all worked up over it. I knew she was.
Sparking the sex life, sparking the sex life. Oh, please let it be a fire card.
Oh, goodness.
Influence.
Can I go?
You can.
Yeah, because we're still shuffling.
I'm not even done shuffle.
Okay, so I actually pulled an oracle card from the Vibrational Energy Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
And this card is Go to the Light. If you could.
Go to candlelight.
There we go. So actually what this card is about, though, is you're asking any advice for bringing a spark to your sexual life. Open the door. Like, it's not, you have to be open to it, and you have to invite it in. You have to go and open the door. I mean, there's many doors that we open all the time, and maybe you need to put yourself out there a little bit more. Maybe you need to be open to new and different things. Maybe this is something that you haven't been, I don't want to say not pursuing, but it's something that you're not very vocal about at all, or maybe you're kind of shy and you need to step out of your shell a little bit more. But yeah, you need to, like I said in the beginning, this card is all about opening the door and being open to new and different things, and inviting it into your life. So that's my card. What do you got?
I wish that Avalon could go next, but she's not present. All right, so I'm gonna, speaking of reaching out to somebody for help me out with this. So I had two cards fall out, and they are the Three of Swords and the Five of Wands. So we have that fire card that Avalon wanted, but I'm a little confused on. Okay, so let's break this down. So we have the Three of Swords. It's all about a lack of a better term, a stopping motion, and then we have this Five of Wands that is about a kerfluffle, but with like a meaningless. It's like a warning. If you're gonna go through something, don't make it meaningless. And because when we're talking about the five of wands, it's the picture is there's five boys fighting with the wands, but nobody really knows why or what the ending and the outcome is going to be, and it's very kind of pointless. And so the energy here is that what I feel kind of is whatever you're doing. Let me say this quick. Like whatever you're doing, stop, and then because it's not getting you anywhere, it's time to try something new. That's what I'm getting, but I'm going to pass that over to you.
Well, I'm thinking about the card that I drew and thinking about the cards that came up for you. I would also say, don't want new spark in your sex life if you haven't healed old emotional wounds where love and relationships and nurturing is concerned.
That's good too. That's really good.
I've got one. Sorry, guys. I have to explain my absence. I'm using the Australia tarot, and some of you may own this set. There is no elemental on there, so I'm looking at this card, and I know that it's a 9, but I don't know what 9 it is. It's an orange card, but it's actually a cups card. So I have to what 9 is this? So I have to go and have a look at the book and go, which 9? Okay, so it's the 9 of cups.
Hang on.
This is the card.
Your sound is really terrible.
Try unplugging your pot. There you go. Yes.
Better?
It was for a second.
Better?
No. It's like you're driving through a tunnel. So yeah, and then that.
No?
Okay,
like right there. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I can't do that. Obviously, I can't do that. All right, so this is the card. So I want you to see what I'm talking about. So everything's very red. So I almost thought that was a wands, but it's not. It's actually a cups. Anyway, nine of cups. I'm trying to remember what was already said, but let me go with this. I think that you're too comfortable. I think that that's the key. Like there's too much comfort in your life. There's obviously a natural way that you like to do things, a natural comfortability, and sometimes comfort can mean the same thing as boredom or stagnation or heavy. Like it's too much. It's too predictable. It's too predictable. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how to do this, darling. And so I think you need to really. I think you really need to, to step it up and to create a sense of dynamic. At the moment, it's all about what feels right, what feels comfortable, what feels cozy, what feels warm, what feels nurturing. But if you want to jazz things up, then you have to bring in an air of new. There needs to be something, new.
And interestingly enough, so if we tie what Avalon is saying to what Chase and I had as well, I would say with all of that, like on the table, I would say that maybe you're a little my way or the highway when it comes to seeking out new love/sexual relationships. And there's some old stuff under the surface that you might need to clean up before you go forward, and make sure that it's meaningful and that you're ready and that you're opening the door to actually receive what you want fully.
I think that's a key word too. You said meaningful, and I think that super resonates too.
Super. Thanks for asking. Okay.
Super duper. Shall we move on to the next question?
Yes, I can.
All right, so let's go. So Rosemary asked 2 questions. I'm going to go ahead and skip over to Catch and Wag since we've already answered one of hers, and we have a time at the end. Then we'll answer her second question. Catch I know. Hey guys, what you doing? Creepy pointer. Catch Chinwag asks, what steps can I take to embrace the feminine? I feel like this is another Avalon question too.
To embrace the feminine. I got the 9 of shit. I don't know if this is swords or wands.
9 of shit. Wow, that's an interesting shoot.
Like, I'm going to go with wands. What do you think this is? Just so that we can play this game.
That's wands.
Oh yeah, that's wands.
Okay. Let's see. I'll be back. I'll be back with.
Okay. Oh, she's like literally. She leaving.
All right, hold up. Because I got one. Hold on. All right. Really? Okay, got it.
Get it.
All right, I got it. Okay, so embrace the feminine, is that what we're talking about? So I pulled an oracle and I pulled a tarot card. The oracle card that I pulled is Dream Catchers. See this? So this one, and I have to show you the tarot card because they go together. The High Priestess fell out. So when we're talking about embracing the feminine, there's a lot of visualization, meditation, dream work, journeying that needs to happen. You need to call on a strong feminine deity as someone who embraces the qualities of femininity that you identify with. Now, and when I say that, it's because I actually started on this particular journey last year in spring, so almost a year ago. I started on this particular journey, and I had no idea what feminine energy really meant to me, because I hadn't taken time out to really analyze it and see, I don't know, analyze it within myself, I guess. So when you're calling on a particular deity or working with a particular archetype, you want to make sure that it's a strong feminine deity that has the qualities that you identify with when you think about the feminine divine or the feminine within yourself. For me, it's primal woman, it's the huntress, it's all of those things, which I would have never guessed before I started on this particular leg of my journey, path, whatever. That being said, you'll want to, at least, I mean, I wanted to do some meditation, see where that takes you, see who shows up, see what, I mean, even particular, and Chase can attest to this, even particular animals with feminine qualities will show up, or no way, dude. Oh, that's too cool. Okay, so he has an animal on his hand. Yeah, but anyways, so I think that these cards are really about tapping into your intuition, going spiritual with it, figuring out what qualities spiritually, intuitively really resonate with you as to what divine feminine means to you. Okay, go ahead, Chase, because I know you have the animal card.
I love this. That is the best segue of the night. So the card that I drew was Dragonfly, which is often a animal energy that is effeminate. But the Dragonfly is talking about illusion. So it's about getting past, like there's, for me, and I'm going to try to explain this from my perspective, and I hope that it makes sense to you. We have two versions of the divine feminine and two versions of the divine masculine. We have, that is what is fed to us as humans, as consumers, as a byproduct of the way that we live our lives now. And then there's the actual divine feminine that is actual, truly what the divine feminine should be. And it's sort of like a light side and a shadow side, I guess. But I think it's a shadow side that we ourselves have created. And I mean we, as not us in this group right now, we as a collective of human beings. It's a shadow side that we have created ourselves, again, by mass media and commerce and all those things. So what the Dragonfly is talking about, now let me get back to what I was talking about. It all makes sense, I promise. You know me, I always talk in segments and then I throw it all together at the end. So the Dragonfly is talking about illusion. So it's talking about getting past the illusion of what we think the divine feminine is. You know, the divine feminine is fed to us as a 6-foot busty blonde who, you know, for lack of a better term, cooks for her husband every night and has the perfect meal and does all the feminine things and wears all the pretty makeup and all the pretty clothes and smells pretty. And, you know, when the divine feminine is actually an energy of embracing, nurturing, and of caring, and of being able to step back and harness energy that masculine energy can't, because masculine energy is all about going for it and, you know, sometimes being a little bit berserk. It would be kind of a true shadow side of divine masculine. So getting back onto the topic before I run that way. So it's about getting past the illusion of what the divine feminine has been fed to you and figuring out what divine feminine is for you, because we can all define divine feminine and we would all have something a little bit different, but we would all be right. And so, you know, whatever you perceive it as, that's truly what you need to reach into, aspire to. And that was everything that Allora was talking about. You got to figure out spiritually what that means for you, what that feels like, what it looks like, what it tastes like, and just really learn that. And one more thing that I want to say, and again, follow me, I hope that it makes sense. So in the world of working out, it's about when you learn and exercise, it's all about what it feels like, because you're not always going to be standing in front of a mirror to see yourself so that you know that you're in proper form. You know, the skill that trainers learn is that we know what it feels like. So when we're teaching our clients how to do a specific exercise, we can just do it. So it's going to be all about that for you, but spiritually, divine feminine, you got to figure out what that feels like and what it tastes like and what it looks like, so that you can call on that energy and know what it is and really truly be able to harness it and use it and be it. Ta-da.
Okay. So if anyone wants to know, that's not wands, that's swords.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Why?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Jaguar? That's a fire. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Look, that is actually swords. Look, and I'm not joking. It is 9 of Swords. I had to really, yeah. I'll get there with this deck. I'll get there. The more I use it, the better it will be. Okay, so in keeping with with everything that's been said, you know, the 9 of Swords is typically that card of nightmares. It's that card of anxiety. It's that card of inner stress. So I think that subconsciously speaking, what's hindering, you know, that attachment, that connection with, you know, with that sacred feminine is the stress, it's the worry. Perhaps you've been fed too much, you know, over the top processed information that skews your perception of the sacred feminine, thus, you know, taking you out of that balance, you know, making you feel as though you're drifting further away from the ideal rather than closer to. And so it's a time to really, you know, to ground and to center, you know, profoundly speaking. This is not a small card. This is a card of the mind, and wherever the card of the mind is, that's where you stop and you take heed, and you understand that when that area is clouded, that you need to come to that grounded and that centered space and understand exactly what it is that is calling to you. If your connection is indeed, if your aim, if your goal, if your objective is indeed to connect with the sacred feminine, then you have to do so in a manner that really, really resonates with the authenticity of who you are. This is something that you're going to have to pull out of soul. So we often talk about being guided. We often talk about deity. We talk about spirits. We talk about spirit guides. We talk about the temple. We talk about journeying. We talk about sacred animals. This is a way of reaching outside of ourselves to assist us to, you know, to put together a team, an arsenal of things to assist in helping us to pursue a target or an objective, right? This is asking you to go further within, not without, but further within. Take everything that's happening on your peripheral and then understand what Chase was saying, how does it make you feel? That has to be your truth filter. How does it make you feel? If you're not filtering what you're seeing, if you're not filtering what you're reading and what people are saying to you, if you're not thinking critically, then you are going to be influenced, and that is going to leave a negative impact on you. And so it's time to critically think, to really come to that place of grounded and centered, and to figure out exactly what it is that the sacred feminine represents to you, and then head into in the direction of that soul truth, not the told truth, the soul truth. And, you know, and do what you can. Do what you can to really assist you to deplete that presence of anxiety and stress from your body. And this can actually mean eating right, meditating, and exercising, so that you're moving your body to the point where when you lay in bed at night, your body's tired and you fall asleep much, much easier. And that will have a really positive impact on your spirituality, on your physicality, and on your mental health as well. And when all of those states of being are in alignment, you are the better version of yourself. And, you know, that's the answer to your question, basically. The end.
Ta-da. Ta-da. All right, next question we have is from my very own artist for the Red Earth Oracle, Christina D. And she asks, on the market for a new job, how's that looking? And I've already drawn a card, so I'm going to go ahead and go first. Privileges. Privileges. And it's a good card, so I want to share it. So the card that I have drawn for you is the Six of Wands. Beautiful card with a beautiful message. So that is a victory card. However, there is something on the other side of that. You know, he didn't just arrive at this victory, you know, this message of a victory. There was work to be put in, whether it was he came back from fighting a war or, you know, whatever work he put in. You know, he had to put that work in first before he got this message of victory that he could, before he got this message that he could carry on to his people that, you know, this has a happy ending. So you got to put in work. And I know that sounds cheesy, and I feel like we say that a lot, but, you know, in order to have what you want, you got to work for it. So if there's a job out there that you want, then this is saying that if you work hard for it, then you're going to get the message and the answer that you want.
My turn. So I got the Queen of Wands, Mother of Fire. So this can be taken twofold, but I really, really, really think it's like, why are you looking for a job when you already know what you want to do? And you work for yourself. You'll be your own boss. I think you know this already. I think that you need to organize and figure out exactly how you want to structure what you want to do. And it is artistic. It is creative. It is, I mean, you're an artist. So if it's freelancing yourself out more, or offering art classes, or illustrating children's books, you know, there's other things in art. I mean, doing tarot, yes, but there's lots of other things in art that you can do, that you could do, and you could honestly own your own business with your art. I think you need to embrace the muse and also really go for it. This isn't gonna, Chase was saying there's work to be put in, and if this is something that you want to do, something that you aspire to do, it's definitely going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of ambition and drive and dedication, but I think you can do
it. I've got the best card. Christina, do you? I do. I've got the best card. You know why? Because I've got the bright ray of sunshine. I have the sun card. Triumph, celebrity, attainment. I have the ultimate fire card. The ultimate. I'm even feeling a bit smug about it. But everything that Allora just said then, times 10 million. I say this because when the sun shines in the bright sky, it doesn't just fertilize one patch of grass. It fertilizes everything. It really creates that photosynthesis. It creates growth. It heats, it warms, it has this transformative effect on not just one thing, on multiple things. So you need to identify your multiple objectives. What is it that you like to do? Obviously, we all know you as an artist here. We know you in this space as an artist, and an incredible artist at that. So congratulations on such a beautiful skill. But there's more that you can be doing with your art than probably you even realize at this moment in time. And so it's up to you to really harness that inner sunshine, to celebrate your gifts in the full capacity of that word, of that statement. Celebrate your gifts, showcase it, and share it with the people that generally want to, to hear about it and experience it, and allow yourself to be, your skills to be a guiding light, to be absorbed by others, to be, nourishing. There is so much that you could be doing, and it's just a matter of you, in your own time, in your own way, figuring out exactly what it is that you want to do. And don't just cast one net out, cast multiple nets out. Don't just go, I'm going to teach this one thing, teach multiple things, or I'm going to create this one thing, create multiple things, or I'm going to go in one direction. No, you can go in any direction that you like. You are free to choose. And you have a tremendous amount of light and a tremendous amount of energy behind you to make a name for yourself and to really establish a personality that people admire and respect. And so it is entirely up to you and how you act on that will determine your future outcomes for yourself. And so really feel that energy of the sun, really feel that, that salubrious, expansive energy of the sun, and just whatever it is that you're doing, multiply that by 3. If you're doing one thing, multiply it by 3. Just, larger than life is just the right size for you. That's what I'm going to say. That's it.
Yay!
Beautifully done. So we have one more question, but before we do that, I want to answer Anna's question. She asked, should you cut karmic cords? Just thinking in terms of repercussions.
I would say, Anna, she said, should you cut karmic cords?
Go, Avalon, go.
If you can, you should. If you know how, then you should.
Yeah. And I would say,
if you have the tool set, you know how to, then it's your business. That's your business.
And I would say, if you want to and you don't, then seek out an experienced practitioner or somebody that you really know very, very well to help you if they have the skill. But yeah, I don't see why.
Right there with that. So, shall we tackle our last question and then call it a night?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have our last question from Chrome. She asks, where should I dig deeper spiritually at this point in time? For which I already have cards, so shall I go first?
I do too.
Oh, do you? Well, then you can go first. Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
And the reason why I wanted to go first is because the Two of Swords is a very inward reflection card, for me personally anyway. And so the idea of the Two of Swords is the two swords are crossed, and oftentimes in this case it's the bird, but it's the woman that's blindfolded, and it's calling for an inner glance. It's calling for that to find that truth center, right? So it's really about shutting off all the peripherals and going within and seeking out that, you know, the true answer for yourself. And that true answer isn't going to come from without, it's going to come from within. And so it's about the stilling, it's about creating the right space and the right headspace, the right, you know, time and place, etc., in order to, you know, to go deep and have that reflective moment for yourself and to really trust that reflective moment for yourself. And you can only really do that when you've cut off all of that external clutter, all of that external noise. And so it's really about coming to a place of peace, coming to a place of quiet, coming to a place of balance. This is not a place of knowing, it's a place of unknowing, and you wait for the answer to come. And it's an incredible card of trust on your guides. It's an incredible card of trust on your, you know, on your inner processes, on your intuition. But it's also a really great way to really connect deeply with your intuition that can assist you to take things beyond that point. So that's me, done. I left it nice and open for you.
Right, that is nice and open. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, I can. Okay, so I drew a tarot and an oracle card. So the tarot card that came up for you is the universe or the world card. Here we go. Isn't she lovely? And this is the oracle card. It says the F word.
That's my favorite one.
I know. So basically what this is telling me is you can go in any direction spiritually you want to dig deeper. But when the F word came up, that's telling me, you know, and with what Avalon said, go inside yourself and think of a word that starts with F and not necessarily that one that you want to explore deeper in spirituality. It could be fun or family, or, you know, it could be any F word out there, but
freedom out there. That's a good
freedom. Yeah. Flight. What else? Ooh, let's see F words. But yeah, I mean, there's a plethora of words that start with F, but if you want to reflect on that, maybe meditate on a word that starts with F that can be applied spiritually and just start working with it. That could be a good place for you to start. All right, Chase.
Foundation. I'm just going to throw F words out there sporadically. Foundation. So maybe foundation.
Right. We all need a firm foundation. So, okay. So 2 cards fell out, and I'm back to the Earth Power Oracle. And so let's tackle these cards one at a time. So the first card that fell out was Angkor Wat, and the message it is, I have the courage to live my heaven on earth, as above so below. I am aware that sometimes things must fall apart to be reborn as I would wish. So keep that in the back of your mind. So let's move on to the second card that fell out, which was Troy. And it says, to exchange my gifts with the world as a positive act. Teamwork is necessary. So I think this is telling you to, in order for you to expand yourself and to dig deeper, you're going to need the energy, kind of what we were talking about, not necessarily in a sexual sense, but you're going to need the energy of somebody else and the knowledge of someone else. And that is, I think, truly when we grow the most, is that when we are humble enough to be a sincere student. When we are humble enough to be a sincere student, that is when we have the opportunity to sort of blossom leaps and bounds. You know, it's when you always hear those people, and I've heard it from so many people, that when they graduate college, you know, they're 21, they just graduated, and they're like, well, there's not much that I don't know because I haven't graduated college now. And, you know, I'm sitting here as a 31-year-old, and I'm like, you're gonna fall hard, homie, like that. You're gonna learn some hard lessons, because we don't ever know it all, and it's important that we embrace that and we know that. And I say all of that because this is telling you to reach out to somebody else who knows more about a particular topic or whatever it is, even about digging deeper into yourself. Like, you're asking, how do you do that? Well, reach out to somebody that you know and trust that can really answer that for you. And so we go back to Angkor Wat, which, by the way, is just a phenomenally beautiful, just gorgeous card. This deck is just stunning, but it's saying that it must fall apart to be reborn as I would wish. So it's it's time to embrace the fact that sometimes the best thing that we can do is if there's a system that we've been working for a real long time and it's getting us mediocre results, but we know we can do something better, then it's time to rip it apart and start from the ground up. Foundation, F word. See, I'm tying it on together. See, all my shit makes sense. All my shit makes sense. You just gotta get with me with the pieces first. So, you know, we have to rip it apart and we have to get back to the foundation and we have to build up from there. And therein will lie your answer. It's kind of like like for me, math is a really hard subject for me. I don't latch on to math very quickly. It takes a really long time for me to comprehend when we get to things larger than college algebra. If it moves on past that, I'm lost. And so, but there's this thing that happens when I feel very lost and I'm, you know, in a math class in college taking statistics or whatever higher math education I had to. When I had that moment where I finally got it, oh my God, it meant the freaking world to me. And it felt so good when I finally got it. And that's what happens when you start from the ground up and you rebuild. You're going to have that moment where you're like, well, I've been doing that this way for my entire life. And oh my God, I did it different. And it makes so much fucking sense. So you're going to have that moment when you build up. So don't ever be afraid and intimidated by starting over, because sometimes it's the best thing that you can do. That's it. We covered it all, homies.
Woohoo!
We did it. Wise words indeed.
Wise words. That's right. I can't believe that we actually went from, you know, sex magic and energy transference, cord cutting, mention of a dildo, freaky, swiping with anointed finger on social media apps, and all of a sudden we've come to a place of like beautiful wisdom.
Right? And that is all in one episode of STW.
Yeah, see how that? We were
See how we leave that?
Right? It's like a beautiful cyclone, but with beautiful colors.
It's a
and but don't get me wrong, a little bit of dirt mixed in too. There's like some spots that maybe not so pretty, but it all goes together. It's in this big tapestry of awesomeness, and I don't know how many times I can do this.
It's very Bowie.
Right? Right? Pull it. Just seems to be and Nicholas Sparks, right? And don't forget the Nicholas Sparks.
Nicky Sparks.
Yes.
That was the thing. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I had a freaking blast the last 2 hours. I loved this episode, and when we decided this was going to be the topic, I was like, oh my fuck, this could go in so many directions that I'm not comfortable with. But it actually was probably one of the better conversations that I think we've had on this show. So I think we should probably do this again in the future with a topic that maybe we're uneasy about and just kind of see where it goes and see what happens. I'm down.
There's a lot of medicine that can
Taboo tarot.
Things, taboo tarot topics. That's right. And
right.
Quite frankly, you know, sacred sex magic, sacred sensuality. Like sex is a huge thing for so many people. And if you're not getting it, it's a big deal. If you're getting too much of it and you don't want that much, it's a big deal. If you don't know what to do with it, it's a big deal. It's just a really, really big deal.
You don't know what to do with it.
Magic and throw a bit of tarot in there, and quite frankly, it's a big deal. So let's talk about it.
Right.
If you have a taboo tarot topic that you want us to discuss, then you should let us know.
I feel like we did just like open some doors about like I want us to be able to talk about some shit that nobody else talks about. Like I want us to be real and open and just talk about the shit that nobody else wants to.
That's right. That's right.
So shall we say our final closing words and call it a night or a day for you guys? Because this guy has to go sleep.
All right. That sounds great. And I will start with a lovely farewell. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. It was very erratic. I can understand if you didn't manage to weather the storm, but quite frankly, it felt like a really good storm. And we talked about so many great things, and I think we did so very respectfully. And we might not have come to any definitive conclusions, but we did speak about it and we did air it, and we definitely exercised some facets of the topics that we were talking about. And we did so in such a respectful, open manner. And I think that you guys bared with us in such a way that really added to the magic of the conversation. You've made me giggle, and, you know, quite frankly, you guys are just amazing to hang out with, and thanks for joining us. Not just on this particular live chat, but on all of our other live chats. I can see so many familiar faces, and you guys really do add to the atmosphere. It's because of you that the atmosphere is so awesome. So thanks so much. And of course to my co-host, Chase, I haven't seen you for ages. I miss your face. Like, it was full on. It's been full on. And yeah, that's it. And Allora, we're gonna see each other soon. It's gonna be so exciting.
I know. I'm so excited because I'm actually coming to your house.
I know. She's gonna be sleeping in my house. She's gonna sit in front of my bookcases. Can you believe it? It's happening. It's happening.
I'll just be over here in the butthole of America, not doing anything. That's fine. It's whatever. It's whatever. It's whatever.
You can come over. You know, you just have to get on a plane.
Fly for 9 days in order to
It's
get
not 9 days. It's 1. Okay.
No, it's gonna feel like 9.
It's actually from LA. It's a 17-hour. Well, no, 15-hour flight.
That sounds hideous. That's like a nightmare.
My battery.
Anyway.
In about 2%. My battery's going to die, just letting you know.
Okay. I'm going to say my goodbye. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I've had a blast hanging out with my soul siblings and you guys. Don't forget, if you are an artist for the Sacred Threads Tarot, get that in to spreadtheswitches@gmail.com, as the deadline is coming up at the end of the month. And then we're going to schedule live stream again for the deck where we're going to go over all that stuff. So look forward to that. Also, in the future, because I have school, Chase has a new job, and AV is momming and all of her awesomeness with her own tarot deck. STW might be changing day and time slot. We don't know yet. We'll have to see how that works out. But love you guys immensely. And if you had a good time and enjoyed our live stream, give us a thumbs up. And if you want to sub, all that good stuff. Chase, takes it out.
I'm gonna double on that and say like and share that shit, because like the reason that we get to do what we do is because of you guys. And so like you are our biggest support and you are our biggest driver. So like we ask and we beg of you that if you enjoy it that much, so please do share it, because that's how we grow. That's how social media works. So please do share and thumbs up and all of that. You know that I love you guys immensely, and getting back with my soul sisters and talking with you guys has just been, I have needed this so badly because my job is so draining and left me in a little bit of a negative space. And so the fact that I just got to do this was fucking amazing. And I love you guys so much. I'm sending all my loving energy your way. You know that we love you so much, and we will see you guys again soon right here on STW. Love you. Bye.